Joining us now is Arjun Murti. He is partner for energy, macro, and policy at energy consultancy Veritan and former equity analyst at Goldman Sachs. Arjun, welcome. So does lower oil today just reflect that investors believe Iran has been defanged?
I think that's right. I mean, keep in mind, we probably had built as much as a $15 to $20 per barrel premium in oil over the last week versus where we were trading pre-Israel-Iran. And we're now in the process of eliminating that. And I think the market is saying, hey, it looks like the worst of this turmoil is behind us. Let me say, if we are on track to avoid a bigger war, that is unquestionably good news.
So given where we are in the year, just about halfway through, what are the remaining, possibilities that would cause a spike or a firming up in the price from here?
I mean, prior to this conflict having arisen, there was a lot of debate about whether tariffs were going to drive recession, and that was then leading to those $50 type oil calls that some had. But we were already seeing some sort of better than expected oil demand data, that the so-called hard data across the economy had been outperforming the soft data, and that was true for oil. We're seeing OPEC announce quota increases, but that the actual production wasn't quite following through. And we've seen shale oil drilling come down quite a bit, which was leading people to think shale may roll over. So the question was, would we weaken in the second half of this year, or does this kind of turmoil help us get through that? But beyond 2025, the balances were starting to look a bit better already.
It's not just the price of oil either, though, is it? It's also the price to transport that oil, the shipping piece of this. We know those costs have been surging here in the past week and a half, and particularly in the last couple of days, given this risk premium tied to Middle East. How closely to watch that and factor that into the cost to get all of these barrels where they need to go around the globe?
It's a variable. I will say the two things we're most watching is, do those signs of demand hanging in better at around 1 million barrels a day of growth come true? And the second would be, let's just say oil does stay above $70 or firm back up there. Will we see a resumption in shale oil growth, or have some of the messages coming from the producer sector that tier one shale, the lowest cost shale, was starting to mature, and therefore we were going to need even higher price? Does that come true? I think those would be the top two variables we're looking at.
How are U.S. producers gaming out the dynamics right now and what it means for drilling here stateside?
You know, our message over the past week to our clients at Veritan, and it is a longer-term view than a short-term trader, has been underlying oil fundamentals are what you should focus most on. You can look at past disruptions. Some have led to actually a structural bear market, one a structural bull market, and everything in between. And I think we were signifying, let's look at global oil demand. It's kind of sluggish, but maybe it's doing a little bit better than we thought. And then what is the fate of drilling? And through all that, I think companies aren't going to overreact to what had been a rebound. Now is a pullback. I think they're going to see where the dust settles out.
Arjun, did China factor into this Iran situation the way you expected?
You know, for everyone who is saying the Strait of Hormuz might close, I think, number one, there's been nothing about the Israel-Iran conflict that leads you to believe, at least up till now, and I do not hope to be proven wrong on this, that Iran somehow has a strong military. I think, number two, I think most people now know most of Iran's sales of oil go to China. And so the idea that they were going to shut the strait, even if they could, never made a lot of sense. And I think, lastly, if it were to close somehow, and there's a lot of questions on what that how is, how long would it, practically speaking, be closed? I think all of that, and this is where China plays in, played a role in that action not being taken.